1 week away from early signing day, which is absolutely crazy. But that just means 7 more days to lock down the class of 2026 and maybe get a couple of extra commits that you did not expect to get. Right now, Tennessee ranks 7th in the country, 3rd in the SEC, only behind Georgia and Alabama, and a big reason because of that 14 blue chip commits. 2 of those 5 stars, 12 of those 4 stars, and a whole lot of 3 stars in that class as well, which ranks right now, we told you, 7th. That's the best in the history of Josh Heupel at the University of Tennessee. His first real class that was all his was the 2022 one. They were 23rd. He's got progressively better, 11th, 13th, back to 11th, but this year is the first time he's cracked the top 10, and there are a ton of reasons why and a ton of kids to get really excited about. Coming up on today's show, we're going to get into the great news first. This top target is trending Tennessee. Then we're going to talk about all the recruits that will be in Knoxville this weekend, and then we're going to wrap up with final pushes on prospects that could sign the dotted line to end up in Knoxville a week from today. Hey, look, when it comes to recruiting, we've got you covered right here, so make sure you subscribe to the channel. Next week's going to be incredibly busy for us. Rumors are we might even be going live on Wednesday to break down the new class. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. It's free. It locks you in for daily coverage, and with the recruiting class coming up, it's a great time to do that. Appreciate you guys for being here today. So the big complaint about the current class that we've got coming in is there are no running backs committed. Not one. You got a ton of athletes, a ton of wide receivers, a ton of defensive linemen, some linebackers. Obviously, you got the quarterback, but no running back. A big reason why that is you made a big swing and a miss with Savion Hyder, who unfortunately ended up committing to Michigan. You were number 2 in that battle, but that was a high-risk, high-reward play. When you've got a kid like Savion Hyder, who at the time was the 7th best recruit in the country, it seemed like you were putting all your eggs in that basket, saying, look, if we could land him, he's going to be an absolute freak show, but if we don't, that's going to be a little bit of a risk because what other running back would want to come to Tennessee when there's a top 10 player in his position that's also committed? If you see what I'm saying right there. Well, there might not be no running backs committed for very long. That brings us to what Steve Wiltfong had to say earlier this morning about Amari Latimer. He said the Wisconsin 4-star running back commit, Amari Latimer, remains a major target as well. Tennessee is a front runner down the stretch. Miami is also in play. That is great news that Tennessee is a front runner for a guy that I've had my eyes set on for a very, very long time. And the reason why, he's a freak. Okay? The dude's an absolute freak show. Now, he's a 4-star. That's great. His national rank is not going to blow your socks off, but I love his build. I love what he's been able to do at the high school level as well. 196 carries, 2,000 yards, 168 yards a game, 38 touchdowns. And I get it. These kids' high school numbers are always very inflated, but I talked about his size, which is something I really, really like. 5'11", 230 pounds. This guy reminds me of like Doug Martin. Rest in peace. He's a current Wisconsin commit, has been since June of this year, 265th best player, so he cracks that top 300, 19th best running back in the class, 35th best player in Georgia. Now, Wisconsin, it's going to be interesting to watch because we thought there was a chance they'd have a head coaching search and they'd move on from Luke Fickell. We almost thought that would guarantee Amari Latimer would flip. However, they're not. They give him a vote of confidence. They get up their NIL, funds for that football program. But does that make Amari Latimer want to flip even more? Possibly, knowing that, hey, I know they just gave him a vote of confidence, but he's one more bad season away from probably getting fired. Interesting to see how this one's going to round out, but it's good to know, like Steve Wiltfong told us, Vols are the front runner. If you want Latimer to flip to Tennessee, do me one big favor. Boom, hit that thumbs up button. Like today's video if you want to pull off a flip miss miracle or a Thanksgiving miracle, then show me by liking the show. Visitors this weekend, you got a couple of really good kids to keep an eye out on. Carter Gooden, 4-star defensive lineman. He will be in attendance along with your boy. Going to be in Knoxville this weekend. Very, very excited about that. Steve Wiltfong talked about him. He's a current UCLA commit. Fresh off a trip to Vanderbilt. The funny thing is Vanderbilt is his other top school. And those two teams exactly are squaring off this weekend. I don't want to say winner most likely lands Gooden's commitment, but it is going to be interesting to see how that plays out. Really excited to get him in Knoxville. You know, I do want to shit on Vanderbilt, actually. Seeing Neyland Stadium the week after going to a Vanderbilt football game, he is going to be absolutely blown away. Jalen Thomas, a guy we've actually talked about before on this program, he is a current JUCO defensive lineman, Northwest Mississippi Community College. That's where he currently is playing. He's the defensive player of the year in his conference, and this dude just looks like Aaron Donald. Like, he is unbelievably built. And Tennessee has had a pretty solid track record when it comes to JUCO defensive linemen. Byron Young, obviously, is the first one that comes to mind. I am always a fan of building in the trenches, getting stronger, faster, better players. This guy's being heavily recruited by a lot of schools around the country. Auburn, West Virginia, Baylor. He'll be back in attendance. He did visit, I believe it wasn't the Oklahoma game. I think it was the Arkansas game that he was in attendance for. Maybe the let's just say it was the Arkansas game. He's been in Knoxville before. He'll be there again this weekend. Janivri Carr is another guy to keep an eye out on. 3-star interior offensive lineman. Currently is a Gator commit. The funny thing was, he was in the swamp on Saturday for that absolute beatdown that you put on the Florida Gators. Wonder if he saw that and then mixed with the atmosphere he's going to see this weekend, how much that is going to sway him. But he's a guy we've actually talked about a lot since Billy Napier got fired. We've been talking about Carr as a guy who could possibly be on flip alert. And then we're going to round this thing out with Naquavian Simmons. If you haven't heard from him, probably for good reason, he's a 0-star defensive lineman. But Wiltfong says that Rodney Garner and the Vols have been quietly kind of recruiting this guy. 6'3", 290 pound. They've been on him all fall long. He's a guy that they believe has not gotten a lot of recognition, is not getting a lot of love, but they see the traits and they see the ceiling, so they're going to try to cultivate that. I got more to talk about, okay? We're going to round things out with a couple of guys to look at as possibly being pieces to round out this recruiting class. But if you need a piece to add to your wardrobe or a piece to give away for Christmas, because, yes, Christmas is less than a month away, look no further than chatsports.com/UTBlackHoodie to get this Tennessee Blackout hoodie for $35. That's right, $35. This thing's $25 off. That link is in the comments. That link is also in the description. All you got to do is click on it. It'll take you right there, and then you're checking out in minutes. You can get something for your dad, your uncle, your son, your brother, your cousin. Does not matter. Great deal. Awesome hoodie. And $25 off, $35 total. In this economy, that's unbelievable. So take advantage as you can. It is Flipmas time for Heupel and the Vols, as it kind of has been for a while. Obviously, Legend Bay flipped from Tennessee to Ohio State. But prior to that, it really was Tennessee doing the flipping all off season long. I think Kamari Blair coming from South Carolina to Tennessee, of course. I think Tristen Keys coming from LSU to Tennessee. It might not stop there. Of course, we're talking about JJ Finch. Hear a little more from Steve Wiltfong. Tennessee is still very much in the mix to flip Indianapolis Warren Central 4-star defensive lineman JJ Finch. The Alabama commit has not made his final decision yet, but the Vols are giving him a lot to think about. This is definitely going to be one of those guys that I have my eyes on when it comes to next Wednesday. It feels like this recruiting class, we know who's going to be in. We know who's going to be out. He's a guy that feels like he's very much riding the fence. And if you're going to take a guy from Alabama, I'm going to be all ears. Keep an eye out for JJ Finch. He's going to make his decision a little bit closer next Wednesday. Honestly, would not be surprised if he makes it on the day himself. We got a lot of great news that we just discussed for the last 9 minutes and 20 seconds. Unfortunately, we're going to round out with some not so great news. Okay? Jordan Carter. He's the name we've talked about a ton recently. He was committed to Texas A&M, decommitted a couple of weeks ago. Last week, Steve Wiltfong said the Vols were the team to be on the lookout for. Well, that's changed. He says the Vols' top edge target down the stretch is 4-star Jordan Carter. He visited twice after backing off Texas A&M earlier this season, but it's Georgia Tech grabbing the momentum after his visit this past weekend. Auburn gets a shot this weekend. Now, we'll see where the chips fall, but if Steve Wiltfong is saying it's Georgia Tech, I've got reason to believe he's locked in. He's got inside sources. That's most likely going to be Georgia Tech. Now, you can play devil's advocate and say, Joey, he just said last week, 7 days ago, that Tennessee was in the lead for Jordan Carter. So anything can happen. I get what you're saying. You're not wrong. But the reason things probably changed is because he went to Georgia Tech this past weekend, and even though they got blown out by Pitt, which is probably something you think would maybe deter a four-star edge rusher away, I guess he liked things there, likes what Brent Key is doing with the Yellow Jackets. But again, we got 7 days. We'll see if Josh Heupel and Roddy Gardner are going to be able to reel him back in. Which recruit are you most excited to see in orange and white? You let me know down below in the comments section. I get there's tons of excitement for good reason about Faison Brandon. I still think Tristen Keys is the guy I'm most excited to see because you're probably going to see him in 2026. I doubt you see Faison Brandon. That's going to do it for today's show. Make sure you guys got me followed on socials, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram. I'm going to be keeping you guys updated on recruiting stuff all week long, okay? Wednesday, you'll find it on my Twitter before you find it anywhere else. And speaking of my Twitter, we are, like 120 followers away from getting to 2,000, which is crazy because I just crossed 1,000 like 3 months ago. It's because Vol Nation is the best. Follow me on Twitter. My link's going to be in the comments. And make sure you are subscribed. I hope you guys have an awesome rest of your day. Hope you're enjoying time with the family. Hope the next few days brings you nothing but food, family, and football. Eat all the turkey you can. Eat all the mashed potatoes, stuffing, gravy. I'm hungry just talking about it. Have a great day and have a great Thanksgiving week.